Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Justin with AmericanMuscle.com, and today I'm taking a closer look at and installing JLT's cold air intake with the snap-in lid design and oiled filter, available for your 2018 through 2023 Mustang GT. Now you should be considering the JLT for your ride if you're looking for one of the most popular no tune required intakes here on the site for your 5-liter that does give you some flexibility with the airbox design. For instance, either run it with the sealed lid here for the ultimate protection against heat soak, or run it with the ventilated lid like we have here today. That will deliver a little bit more induction noise under hard acceleration, and of course look forward to a little bit more power and throttle response as well. Now, getting into our list of features with the JLT, and I want to start with pointing out that this is certainly one of the most popular options on the site for the 5-liter cars out there. In fact, it has well over 500 4- and 5-star reviews. And yes, I know technically this is not a feature of the intake itself, but I always enjoy pointing that stuff out, as I do find value to fellow Mustang owners' favorable reviews. Now, getting back to the intake, and again, this option is going to pack the usual build quality and fitment we've come to expect and we've seen from JLT over the years. We'll get more into that here in our construction block, but the big feature I think with this particular intake is that snap-in lid feature, or snap-in lid design, which again I think is really cool, very unique, and does give Coyote owners some options on how you want to run the intake. Now again, we did mention earlier, it does come with a sealed panel, so you can have this thing be a totally sealed enclosure, or they do give you this pretty cool looking ventilated panel, so you get more of that induction noise. Now finally, I would say the biggest feature with something like this is power, right? That's something owners should expect when installing an aftermarket cold air intake, and JLT says owners should look forward to anywhere from 10 to 15 horsepower after this system has been installed, and that is made possible thanks to the 40% increase in airflow over your factory airbox, along with an increase of efficiency of nearly 100%. So obviously you're making a sizable increase in performance when swapping out to the JLT here, and that will ultimately make these gains possible. All right, shifting gears, let's talk about the construction, and there really is a lot to like here from the JLT, starting with the rotomolded plastic intake tube here. Now again, this particular system does not require a custom or can tune due to the size of the intake tube itself, so definitely keep that in mind. Certainly can run a tune if you'd like, or feel free to check out one of JLT's tune required systems, which will deliver a slightly bigger tube, but keep in mind, as the name suggests, you have to run a tune to be able to maximize the gains with that system. Not the case here. Solid intake design, also really nice molded airbox design as well. And then of course, we can't forget about the S&B signature oiled filter here with this particular kit. Now, if you didn't know, oiled filters tend to flow a little bit better than a dry option. They do require a little more maintenance, but honestly guys, you're probably gonna clean and re-oil this thing once, if that, throughout its lifespan on your Mustang. They really don't require that much work, and sometimes that can be a misconception with oiled options. Now, when it does come time to clean things up, you know the deal, right? Clean them off, re-oil them, and you're good to go another 100,000 miles. Now, getting back to this lid though, because again, this really is one of the biggest features with this kit, worth talking about here yet again. They do kick in 2 different plexiglass options with every kit. We do have the ventilated option on. Again, that's gonna give you a little bit more noise. They also give you an etched JLT option, which is gonna be solid, and that's gonna deliver those benefits of a sealed enclosure, basically keeping that heat to an absolute minimum. In fact, it's really one of the only options on the site that will give you the ability to switch between lids and do so kind of quickly. Moving into price point, and the JLT is gonna live in that very high $300 range, almost right around 400 bucks or so, which despite its quality and unique functionality with the airbox flexibility, still gonna be one of the more affordable options when you start comparing this thing to intakes from Roush, Canon, and Air Raid. So again, if you are looking for, a sealed design, this is certainly gonna be one of the more affordable options, but keep in mind, it does give you that option to kick it over to a ventilated design as well, and that certainly is worth mentioning when it comes talking to price. All right, last but not least, let's move into the installation block, and site's gonna call this one a pretty mundane 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, taking you about an hour, I would say at most, to complete from start to finish. But now to give you a better idea of how this one might go down in the garage or driveway at home, let's throw it out to the shop for our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown.
The tools you'll need for this project are a ratchet, an extension, a 7, an 8, and a 10 millimeter socket, a Phillips head screwdriver, a T20 Torx bit, a flathead screwdriver, a 16 and a 19 millimeter wrench or an adjustable wrench, a pair of pliers, and a magnet.
Hi everyone. Today we're installing a cold air intake on our Mustang. So let's get started by watching a short video on how to uninstall the stock intake.
Okay, so the first step in our install, once the hood is popped, is to grab a trim panel removal tool and remove 2 covers on each side of the engine cover to expose some nuts that we have to remove. Okay, so you will see 2 little cutouts on either side of this cover. Just take the end of your tool and pry up in one of the cutouts, and this should come out. Repeat that process on the other side. There are 2 10 millimeter nuts, 1 in each side of the cover. You're gonna want a 10 millimeter socket if you can find one, and a nice long extension to make sure you can get on the nut. Go ahead and loosen it up and remove it. Repeat that on the other side. Okay, now that these nuts are removed, you can grab your cover around the edges and pull it off. There should be several clips that you just need to release in order to remove the cover. Okay, now we can disconnect the MAF harness. Pull back on the red tab. It might be hard to see, but it's on the bottom here. Press down. And release. Now you can release this vacuum line on your intake tube, press down and release it. Next up, we're gonna remove this crankcase vent line. There's a blue tab. Press back on the blue tab. And it should come free. Just press backwards on this blue tab here to release those. Okay, now you can grab a set of pliers and release the sound tube. Go ahead and squeeze the clamp. And you should be able to wiggle the tube off. Now if you can't get it off by hand, you can gently pry back on the tube with a flathead. Just be careful not to damage the rubber. Next up, grab your flathead screwdriver and loosen up the clamp holding on your tube to your throttle body. Go ahead and wiggle it to remove it. All right, grab your 10 millimeter socket again and go ahead and remove the bolt holding on the air box. All right, now we do have to remove this one pop clip that holds the MAF sensor connector line onto the airbox. So go ahead and grab a pop clip removal tool. Go ahead and pull that off. This back part of the sound tube is also connected to the airbox. Just grab and pull it up and out of the way. Now that everything is disconnected from the airbox, we can grab it and lift it out and off of the car.
All right, now that we've got our main intake out of the way, next thing we're going to do is disconnect our battery. And the reason for that is to prevent any kind of a check engine light once we hook everything back up. So we're going to go ahead and remove our battery cover here. And then using our 10mm socket, we're going to disconnect our negative cable here and our positive just to make sure that there's no other ground that could cause an issue. Now we go ahead and replace our battery cover and set our cables on top of that just to make sure that there's no connection made. So the next thing we're going to do is remove this front section of our sound tube. And the reason for that is that it's no longer needed with this new cold air intake. So to do that, we've got a clamp right here behind this bellows area. So we're going to have to cut this clamp off because it's not a removable clamp like you would normally think it is. So we're going to get our flathead screwdriver in here, lift up on the ends of it, and then pull this clamp off. So the end of our clamp is right here. We'll put our flathead screwdriver underneath the end of it. All right, then we go ahead and pop that off. Now that it's separated, we can go ahead and remove this front section along with the clamp and get it out of the way. So now the kit comes with a plug for our sound tube here that we're not going to be using anymore. So we're just going to slide our clamp over the top of the hose, set our plug in place, and then tighten down our clamp with an 8mm socket. All right, now we're going to install this supplied rubber grommet and this shoulder washer into this section in the corner of our new intake tube box. So we're just going to squeeze that in there till it fits into place. And then once that's in, we can go ahead and install our shoulder washer in there as well. Now we're ready to put this into the car. All right, now you want to make sure that this rubber grommet right here, where the old box used to be, make sure that's still there. If it's not there, you need to get to the old intake box and make sure that you remove that from there and put that in. Now we've got a small plastic stud here on the bottom that's going to go into that grommet, and then we'll be reusing the original bolt there to secure the box to the vehicle. So we'll slip this into place, making sure that this stud goes into the grommet, and then use our bolt to hold it down. And we'll tighten that down with our 10mm socket. Now we're going to install our seal around the outside of our box here, making sure that the lip of the airbox fits into the groove inside the seal. All right, so now we're going to transfer over our mass airflow sensor from our old intake to our new intake. So to do that, we're going to need a T20 Torx bit to remove it from the factory intake tube. So we'll remove these two screws here. Slide our mass airflow sensor out. Then our new tube, what we're going to do is put this adapter plate on the bottom of our mass airflow sensor, and then a gasket underneath that. And then we'll slide our mass airflow sensor into our new tube, making sure, of course, that our holes line up. Now, once we've got that in, then we'll use a Phillips head screwdriver and the two new supplied screws to secure that to our tube. Now keep in mind that these holes will only line up in one direction. So if you go to put it in and the holes don't line up, turn it 180 degrees. So now we'll install our quick connect fittings into the tube. And they are different sizes, so you can't get them mixed up. Now keep in mind, one is plastic, one is aluminum, so you want to be careful not to over tighten these. And what you can do is use either a 16 and a 19 millimeter wrench to tighten these up, or even an adjustable wrench. Just make sure that you don't over tighten it. Do the same thing with the larger one. Now you need to be more careful with this one because it is plastic. That being said, now we've got those in, we can go ahead and put our coupler on the end of our tube. All right, now using the number 64 clamp, which you will see on the side here, it's really difficult to see in this angle, but you'll see it, it's marked as size 64 and the other one is a size 60. So the 64 is going to be the larger of the two. So we'll slide that over our coupler out to the edge, and then we'll fit this onto the end of our intake tube. And then we'll just snug this up, not completely yet, just enough to keep it from falling off. And then we'll use our number 60 on the other side and do the same thing. So now we're ready to install our tube back into our vehicle. So the end without the coupler is going to go into our air box. The coupler is going to go back over our throttle body. So we'll just fit this inside and then fit our coupler over the throttle body. And now we can go ahead and tighten those clamps down using our 8 millimeter socket. Now we can connect our hoses. Reconnect our mass airflow sensor. Now we're ready to install our air filter. All right, now we can slide our air filter into the box, and you'll want to do this with the end that connects to the tube first. And once you get that into place and it's secure on the tube, go ahead and tighten it down with your 8 millimeter socket. Now we can go ahead and install the seal for our lid. And again, it's got a groove around the seal here. Just fits in over the top of the box. Like so. Now the kit does come with two separate lids. It has a solid lid and it has a vented lid. It's up to you which one you want to use. For our purposes today, we're going to go ahead and install the vented lid. So before you actually install it, first thing you need to do is remove the protective coating that's on the outside, on both sides. And then once you've got it done and ready to go, Just match it up to the design on the seal. And there's another lip on the inside of the seal here that this is going to slip into. So just work it around. Now we can go ahead and reconnect our battery. So we'll hook up our positive cable first. Tighten that down with our 10mm socket. And then hook up our negative cable. Replace our battery cover. And now we can go ahead and replace our engine cover. Get everything lined up. And we'll replace our two nuts on the ends. And one of the things I like to do, just to make it easier, is use a magnet to get the nut started. Because it's a little crowded down there. And then once you've got it started on the stud, go ahead and tighten it down with your 10mm socket.
And that wraps up our review and install of the JLT cold air intake with snap-in lid and red oiled filter for your 18 to 23 Mustang GT. Thanks for watching, and remember, for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.